I brought one slide today, which will be exactly enough or not enough at all. So we'll find out soon enough. But just to provide a little bit of context, so this year, about 87 million, some odd American, US kind of knowledge workers will come into work and touch a computer in some way, shape, or form and schedule a little bit above 10 billion formal meetings. Not date nights, not walk the dog, not remember to go to the gym, formal meetings. We're going to meet up with that salesperson, that partner, that new employee, that one-on-one, all those things you do when you go into work today. And certainly, every single one of you, if I walked over to you, asked you for your smartphone, and looked at your calendar, you would have a calendar for where there's a set of events peppered and sprayed throughout it this week, next week, the week after, and over the next many months. The way we set up those events, though, is through a great amount of pain. And there's only a few people who kind of win that lottery for where there's no pain included to add an event to your calendar. And you might not think of it as pain, but it certainly is. I went through the sad state of affairs in counting my own meetings in 2012, and I did 1,019 meetings. And the very sad part was that I had 672 reschedules. What a bunch of fuckers, huh? That many meetings, which I set up because I was just too frugal an entrepreneur to go out and hire a personal assistant, for which I'm sure SoftBank and IA Ventures and all the good people that believed in us would have said, that's a fine 45K you invested there, Dennis. Certainly don't sit till 11 p.m. and fiddle with your own meetings. But I did. We've seen that, and we certainly didn't discover this pain. It's not like I had some sort of epiphany come early last year for where I woke up and said, you know what? People don't like this. Perhaps I should kind of create some sort of software that could remove that. This is a well-recognized pain that I think we've all kind of had some idea of either how to just endure or remove since we got out of college. So I got my first email back in the beginning 90s, and for the last 20-some odd years, I've set up meetings in exactly the same way. You send me an email, you say, hey Dennis, you up for a cup of coffee while I'm in New York? I reply back, I say, sure, a cup of coffee is nice, I'm a bit maxed out, we've got the board meeting next week, perhaps the week after, but not Monday. You reply back saying, okay, sure, we can do that. Can it be at my office? I say, can it be at 48 Wall? That'll be wonderful. You say, okay, but then it's going to be afternoon, and click, 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 click. And on average, that takes about 2.5 days. Not because we're lazy people, just because we've got stuff to do. So ping, it sits in my inbox. Pong, it sits in your inbox. Ping, sits in my inbox. And all of a sudden, we spend a couple of days on a task. Might only be a few minutes on each one of these ping pongs, but it's certainly not fun. What we did do, though, given that I'm not the first one to kind of recognize this pain, and you are all aware of this pain, is that we tried to kind of solve it through traditional software. We create a web service for where I can expose my calendar. I create a web service for where I can share my calendar. I create some plugin for Gmail. I create some extension for Chrome. I create some new app for where you can kind of go schedule your meetings. And it looks like that's the solution, but it's not. And I think if you just spend 10 minutes thinking about it and play out that scenario, it becomes obvious that that can't be the solution. So what's going to happen tonight, certainly for me and perhaps for half of you in here, is that it's going to be 11:30 p.m., you get home, it's super late, there's a bowl of cereal, you watch an episode of Seinfeld, and then you check your email, like, let there not be 50 emails. Let's just refresh, and you see, okay, 48, I'll survive, it'll be, 1 a.m., that's good enough. But as you start to kind of go through that set of emails, that request to kind of meet up for a cup of coffee is not really a request to meet up for a cup of coffee. That is a guy who punches me in the face. That's exactly what it is. Because now it's midnight, and I'm looking at that like, we could. But what happens is when I simply don't have the energy is that either I don't do it, or I come up with some sort of lame-ass excuse. You know what? Super maxed out. Shoot me an email once you're in town. I don't know when he's in town, whether he lives in the town, whether, it doesn't even matter. I just want to get that email out of my inbox. So what I certainly don't want to do, if I have some app installed for which I believe we thought we could solve it through for a little while is to say, okay, let me go to my scheduling app. Click, click. We'll play it out in real time here. Click, click, because multitasking is shit on your iPhone. Then flip, 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 screen 4, screen 3, because I can't remember where my scheduling app is. I think it's the orange one. Click, scheduling app. Okay, go to next week. Flip, flip, flip. Pick 3 times. I think I have that thing with my wife, Vibeke. Fuck, I'll do it the next day. Click, click, click 3 times. Dang it, I need an email. Click, click, back to multitasking, flip, 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 back to email. Copy, which is even worse shit than the whole multitasking thing. Hold down for 2 seconds, yes. It does too much, then I'm just gonna go down, make it smaller, copy, click, click, back to scheduling app, paste, and you know what? Forget it, we're not having coffee. This is just not working. So what I want though, and that is that 1% who somehow won this lottery, is to say, you know what? Coffee with SoftBank? That would be lovely. Let's do the week after next, perhaps even Thursday. I've CC'd in Amy. She can help put something on my calendar. Send archive. That's it. No more, no less. I want something for where I could have hired that personal assistant at 45K, and she could just sit there in the front office and wait for an email from me, and when she gets it, she works it. The sad state of affairs, though, is that we can't afford that. So if you run a company with 100 employees, you're not going to hire 100 personal assistants. It's going to cater to each one of the employees' kind of personal preferences, their settings, their scheduling hours, buffer time, and all of that stuff that comes in trying to kind of keep a perfect calendar. You're going to hire one, which might be for the CEO, perhaps for a few executives, and that's that. But if I pay an engineer $130K a year to come around to the office, do some good code, am I also paying him to do email ping pong? He'll then say stuff like, but I don't do meetings. Get out of here. We all do meetings. I saw you at the All Hands. Oh, yeah. I saw you at the stand-up. Oh, yeah. I saw you at the data science get-together last week. Oh, yeah. Didn't we do the one-on-one? Oh, yeah, we do those once a week, but they don't really count as meetings. You got meetings. They're on your calendar. So we all do meetings. So the funny thing here is that that one thing that we talked about just before that somehow works, that personal assistant, if we could give every single one of us in here a personal assistant, we would take it. We just don't want to pay the 45K. And she survived over the last 2-3 decades, even though we've seen a massive assault on kind of low-skilled labor sometimes. She survived, and she's the one we want. So what we set out to do, which is my second slide and last slide, is to build that person. Not an app, not a plugin, not an extension, not a web service, not software, no sign-in, no password, nothing. You can't walk up to your assistant and say, hey, show me your features. He's going to punch you in the face. That doesn't work. So we want something that acts in exactly the same way. No syntax, no nothing. You shouldn't really care whether I hired 1,000 people in the Philippines who are just really good at this, who sit up at 3 a.m. doing it. Doesn't care. What matters is that if I can create this machine instance for where we can deliver a human-like experience, for where there is no syntax, no sign-in, and nothing to do outside having this very human-like dialogue, then it works. I need to find a price point, and that price point should really be something that democratizes the idea of a personal assistant. Perhaps $0, perhaps $5 a month, something for where it just becomes silly not to have a PA. Something for where it is equally silly in here, say any one of you run an organization for where you're giving out email and calendars to everybody. Pretty much any workplace in here. There's not some setting where you say, you know what, those engineers don't do too many meetings, so we're not going to give them a calendar, and they don't use email that often, so we're going to save that $5 from Google Docs because that's just the right decision. That is just ludicrous. I want this to be the same, where it becomes equally ludicrous to not give every single one of your employees a PA. We now spent the last year and a half trying to build this AI instance for where you can say something as simple as this. Hey, John, I'd be happy to meet up next week. Please work with Amy, CC'd, to get this on the calendar. Looking forward to it. Amy then needs to, first of all, understand what did I just ask her to do? She then needs to be able to know what did I ask her to do, and then continue to do that task as a job, and a job that might even kind of consist in multiple emails over many days, and then only come back to me once she solved it. I don't want to hear from you. Don't come back and ask me all sorts of questions about, what do you think about Thursday? Is that good? Don't talk to me, Amy. Unless you come back with an invite, you failed me. Just like if you have a personal assistant, if he comes into your office 3 times a day, John, Thursday, good? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Amy, you're not working here. Just go home. I'm going to figure this out myself. It's hard, though. And in closing, I'll tell you why it's hard. There's 2 reasons for this, but we're not giving up on it. One is that, or perhaps 2 reasons are really just one reason baked into one. People are crazy. They're all over the place. All of us included. They'll say things that are either so difficult to understand that not even I, if I looked at it, could figure out what you want, or just an outright lie. And you're thinking, lies that you might not mean to be lies. But I'll give you a very simple example here, and it happens all the time. So we stay up late tonight because we were here, so we need to kind of do work from 6 to midnight instead. So what happens is that I'll shoot out some email at 1 a.m. tonight saying, hey, that meeting tomorrow, can we push that 20 minutes because I'm just tired. But it's not tomorrow. It's just a very human thing to say once you haven't gone to bed yet. So everything is tomorrow until you go to bed. But at 3 a.m., it's today. So I need to be able to do 2 things. One, pick up on the fact that it is tomorrow, translate that into a date, figure out if we have some sort of meeting, and then once I've figured that out, conclude that what you told me is not really what you meant. And that is dangerous, because you're making a bet that you're better than the human that is actually kind of directing you. And that's kind of where we're at. We are in closed beta and have been so for the last year, and will probably be so for the foreseeable future and over the summer. But I think we're brave enough to not try to kind of half-solve this. We're not trying to turn this into with the utmost respect for the searchals, the fancy hands, and the other kind of human-like workers for where you can buy 2 or 3 hours to do a little bit of work for you. I want somebody who will work for you 24/7, 3 a.m. Saturday night. And I'll give you one last example for why that just works so well, because you have feelings sometimes, I'm sure, as well, where if you have an assistant, I've certainly seen this, even just with employees, where you ask them to do a task. And then, you know what? It's not what you wanted. You know, it's on me, it's just not what I want. It hurts a little bit to go back to people and say, you know what, all that good stuff, throw it away. We don't need it. I know you worked on it for 3 days, but just throw it away. If you have an assistant, let's say I go out to the West Coast, and I have her set up 10, 11 meetings, because I'm only there once every quarter, telling her, you know what, I'm going to push the whole thing a week. That hurts a little bit, right? Amy doesn't care. Cool. Push it a week. 2 weeks, compress it. You tell me, I'll just do it for you. So that's us. Hope that added a little bit of value. Thank you very much.